Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Welcome to another exciting episode of EP Live. Thank you all for joining us. This rundown is going out to Sticky Chronic Buds. Love that name. I clicked the like button for the cool Batman figure on your desk and the potential Rocksteady Studios Batman game. I like that. Thumbs up to that idea. Here's your rundown. Nintendo made some huge announcements yesterday evening during their latest Nintendo Direct presentation. Here's what has us the most excited. First up, Luigi really isn't dead because Nintendo announced an all-new Luigi's Mansion coming to the Switch next year. It has the working title, Luigi's Mansion 3, and looks like it will have side-scrolling 2.5D visuals. Since it's just being announced now, don't expect to be playing it until late next year. In the meantime, the original Luigi's Mansion, first released on the GameCube in 2001, is coming to the 3DS. That launches next month, just in time for Halloween, and I can't wait to play that again. Also arriving next year, Nintendo has officially confirmed that they're working on an all-new Animal Crossing for the Switch. No gameplay yet. So far, all they've shown is a cinematic trailer featuring the greedy Tom Nook, so maybe this game will focus more heavily on him than previous titles. We'll have to wait and see. Animal Crossing fans are also happy to know that the franchise favorite Isabelle is the latest character to join the roster of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. She's so cute and cuddly, hopefully it's not too difficult punching her in the face. Speaking of cute and cuddly, the long-awaited Yoshi game for the Switch finally has a title. It's called Yoshi's Crafted World, and as expected, we'll see a miniature version of Yoshi in tiny side-scrolling levels. The game was first shown off at E3 2017 and will finally arrive in spring 2019. Pokemon developer Game Freak has an all-new project with the working title Town. It's a 3D RPG adventure where players will explore a town and battle monsters, and looks like it will use similar technology to Game Freak's upcoming Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, along with their all-new Pokemon RPG slated to arrive in late 2019. Town is slated to arrive in 2019 as well. With all these new games coming to the Switch, Nintendo also unveiled a slew of older titles getting Switch ports, including new Super Mario Bros. U, Katamari Damacy, and several Final Fantasy titles, including 7 and 9. Finally, some cool Switch hardware was shown off. The console itself is getting a new version for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate featuring Smash characters on the dock and controllers, but that's not the coolest hardware. Nintendo has announced a pair of retro-style NES controllers that slide into the system just like the regular Joy-Con controllers. Those are coming out this December and are perfect for playing the classic NES titles that are available through the new Nintendo Switch Online subscription service, which goes online next week. That was a massive Nintendo Direct, and it really shows that Nintendo is using the full force of the momentum of the Switch to come at us with tons of games. Yes, a lot of them are kind of heavily weighted for 2019, and it's just a teaser of what's coming. I mean, if this is all the stuff that's already kind of coming our way for next year, just imagine what's coming up for the Nintendo Directs around E3 time frame or even GDC time frame. It's going to be a very exciting year to be a Switch owner next year. I'm stoked that, 30 years later or more, Nintendo can still get us hyped about NES controllers, which is just incredible. And didn't we just buy NES controllers for our NES Classic Edition? It is pretty rad, though, that as part of the service, you're going to be able to play a lot of this classic stuff. It keeps this stuff alive, and as I mentioned when I looked at the NES Classic Edition, those games are worth preserving, they're worth celebrating, and it looks like Nintendo's digging deep into their third-party catalog as well, which is fantastic. Love to hear your thoughts on the Nintendo Direct yesterday. What are you most excited about? Is it the NES controllers? It's okay if it is. And believe it or not, there's an even more surprising piece of news about the Switch. Ubisoft has announced that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming to the system, but only in Japan, and that's not even the big news. The most surprising thing of all is that it will be a cloud version, meaning that users will be streaming the game from a cloud server rather than having it downloaded and stored locally. Sony has already had game streaming on the PS4 for several years through PlayStation Now, and Microsoft is currently setting up a similar service for the Xbox. The fact that Nintendo and Ubisoft are only releasing the cloud version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in Japan indicates that this is their way of testing out the technology, meaning that more cloud streaming could be coming to the Switch in the near future. I've also heard Resident Evil 7 is a cloud streaming game for the Nintendo Switch as well. So clearly, some of the big publishers are getting around this concept, and this is just the beginning, folks. I mean, we're talking about subscription, and we're talking about streaming. I think there's going to be some really, really big competition in the game space. Clearly, we need faster internet everywhere, and maybe 5G is going to be the solution here for a lot of this stuff, but Yep, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more streaming games. Dave Perry talked to me about this, the ex-Shiny guy, and then he was one of the big wigs at Gaikai, and that actually ended up becoming PlayStation Now. But he talked to me about cloud streaming games maybe 15 years ago. He said soon computers are going to be so powerful and the internet's going to be so fast, you're going to be able to do all of the horsepower stuff in these big server farms and basically stream it to everything. And I was like, what are you talking about, you crazy man? But he was right, and I think this is a perfect example. It's going to get crazy. Google's going to enter the fray. We're probably going to hear some pretty big news about what their new machine is or what their new technology is. And Phil Harrison is over at Google. Streaming games and subscription-based content is a big part of the future. Make no mistake. Now, it looks like Venom is going to be ripping off arms, tearing off legs, and devouring your head in the most family-friendly way possible. The new Venom movie starring Tom Hardy as the ravenous Marvel villain has officially been given a PG-13 rating by the MPAA. Some fans were hoping that the film would go for a more Venom-appropriate R rating, but Sony Pictures apparently wants the film to be more marketable to youngsters. PG-13 happens to be the same rating as Spider-Man Homecoming and pretty much every other superhero movie, with the notable exception of recent outings like Deadpool and Logan. Venom oozes its way into theaters in 3 short weeks. I can't really fault Sony Pictures for making this decision because they are still heavily invested in Spider-Man, clearly. There's all kinds of offshoot Spider-Man movies sort of in development or rumored to be in the works. And if this does well, and I think it's going to do pretty well, it looks like there's been a real sort of attention to detail. It looks like it's going to be pretty fun and quirky and weird. It is weird that Spider-Man isn't in there, or maybe he is. Maybe it's PG-13 because Spider-Man makes an appeal. Who knows? But it's Sony's business to kind of manage right now, and Spider-Man and Venom go together. And Spider-Man is a PG-13 property. It just is. So Venom is going to have to be insidious and scary without the blood spurting everywhere and the foul language of Logan and Deadpool. I mean, it would have been cool to go all the way with this, but maybe this is the beginning of Venom as a marketable character, and down the road they can do an R-rated thing like they did with Wolverine. But it doesn't surprise me, and honestly, who doesn't want to see Spider-Man fighting Venom in the future, And who doesn't want it to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man? They're setting him up to be this guy for a long time. That would be great. And so, yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, it's a little weird, but they're just starting out with this. And if it's a good movie, we could be, in for some good surprises in the Spider-Verse for a long time, which would be great. Now, speaking of violence, Bethesda Softworks and Machine Games aren't going to stop killing American Nazis anytime soon. The studios currently have several big Wolfenstein games in development. Speaking with Game Central, Bethesda's marketing head Pete Hines has revealed that subsidiary Machine Games, which handled Wolfenstein The New Order and Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, is planning to create a third installment in that series at some point down the line. Machine Games is currently working on a spin-off, Wolfenstein Youngblood, which was announced at E3 earlier this year, but Pete Hines promises that they'll return to the main series with a Wolfenstein 3 and bring that story to an end once Youngblood is finished. Those aren't the only Wolfenstein games on the way. They're also working on a VR experience called Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot due next year. In related news, Pete Hines also hinted that another Bethesda subsidiary, Arcane Studios, is working on an unannounced new Dishonored game, but we'll have to wait and see. It's fantastic that Bethesda is staying invested in these properties. I mean, they bought id for a reason. Machine Games has been doing a great job with Wolfenstein, and Arcane has done phenomenal stuff with Dishonored. I can't wait to see more of that, especially with all of the recent game learnings and these incredibly robust action RPGs that are out there. Dishonored 2 was great, but I think Arcane can also amp it up a little bit and give us a little more freedom, I think, in the worlds that we're going to explore. I'm psyched for all that, and maybe that's next-gen console stuff, which would be incredible. But yeah, I think it's great. They're not just an Elder Scrolls company. They're not just a Fallout company. They've got a bunch of different brands that are all doing really well. And Doom, they brought Doom back in an awesome way, working with id as well. So thumbs up to Bethesda. Super psyched about what you have coming down the pipeline. Anyways, that's going to wrap us up for the rundown right now. Let's move on to this day in everything cool. Welcome to This Day at Everything Cool for September 14th. On this day in 2004, Microsoft and developer Lionhead Studios had a massive fable to tell. The action RPG Fable was released on the original Xbox, introducing players for the first time to the massive world of Albion. Lionhead and developer Peter Molyneux wanted to double down on the player choice mechanics of their previous game, Black and White. Every time players made a decision and interacted with the characters, it would affect the outcome of the story and have an impact on the world around them. This wasn't the only cool thing about Fable. The world itself was also massive, and the combat system was pretty cool, with players able to use different weapons and magic abilities. Lionhead had originally started development without a publisher, but Microsoft swept in after they realized that the game could be a big win for the Xbox. It worked. Fable was a critical and commercial success, becoming one of the biggest titles for the console. The game was ported to the PC, and a year later, Lionhead created an expansion called The Lost Chapters. Microsoft bought Lionhead in 2006, and Fable became one of the most recognizable Xbox brands, with the sequels Fable 2 and 3 becoming big hits on the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, it didn't last. In 2016, Microsoft canceled the co-op Fable Legends and closed Lionhead down. There's no official word if Microsoft will revive the Fable franchise. Welcome back from This Day and Everything Cool, and wouldn't this have been the perfect season for Microsoft to say, Fable is back, and here we are with a brand new Fable for the Xbox One, but of course that's not happening yet. Thank you, Jesus Corona, that is so sweet, thank you very much. That is amazing, thank you. And it's good to see everybody here, Tyler Fisher, Blade Blur, Doy Owen. I've asked if people are going to get the NES controller that was just announced for the Switch. I think that's it's something that's definitely on my radar. I can't wait to play those NES games again on my device, and I'm hoping to play maybe some of you guys online. That would be rad. But yeah, lots of comments about Tom Holland versus Holland versus Hardy, basically, with Venom and Spider-Man. And I think we're moving towards that. Venom's got to be a hit first. If Venom is not a big hit, we're not going to see that at all. But anyways, it is time to review a game that's just out today. It's a very big deal. It's Square Enix publishing a game developed by Eidos Montreal. The baton was handed from Crystal Dynamics to Eidos Montreal. It is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and this is the end of a very, very big trilogy for the Tomb Raider universe that started with the original 2013 Tomb Raider, which is what the recent Alicia Vikander movie was kind of based off of, and then we had Rise of the Tomb Raider. And so this is a trilogy that started in the previous generation of consoles, and they have been iterating on it and adding to the story and adding to the mythology. And it's been all about Lara Croft sort of assuming the mantle of this fearsome Tomb Raider. And I have to offer some full disclosure here. We're actually working on a video that's a project that's Tomb Raider related. Although any projects that we ever work on with anybody don't impact my review scores at all or my opinions on anything that we do. We've had tons of sponsors and tons of partners over the years, and I think if you know me and have watched my work for many, many years, you know that it has no bearing on how I feel about a game. Now, I've just finished the game. I just walked away from playing it this morning. It's still humming and resonating inside of my brain. And I've said this many times about reviewing games like this, single-player titles like Spider-Man or God of War or whatever. It's really hard to just sort of walk away from the television, put down the controller, and just sort of give all of your thoughts about these games. It's kind of the wrong way to appreciate them as well, to just sort of race through them to get all of the details and sort of get your basics on the information that you want to provide. Because I don't think most of us in our busy lives have, I mean, I do because that's my life as I review these games, but most people in their busy lives don't just burn through the game like that and are able to kind of really cleanly assess it. And what was especially weird for me playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider is I just came off of Spider-Man, which arguably had, I would say, probably a much bigger budget and a lot more time and a lot more stress and people involved to make that thing incredible because it's an exclusive for PlayStation. So I just put Spider-Man down and then jumped into the Lara Croft adventure. And when I looked at Lara Croft comparative to Spider-Man, it's not as elegant. It's not as clean. The story is a little bit convoluted and a little bit sort of jumping back and forth. I did notice that it starts in the middle of the story because Lara's on the hunt for Dominguez, sort of the head of Trinity. So it really sort of expects you to have some familiarity with the lore and have played the other games. And I think that's kind of a reasonable expectation for the third in the trilogy for sure. But it does kind of get right to it, and you jump right into tombs, and then you pop out of a tomb and you're inside of a little city, and everybody's got their skeleton masks on, and it's sort of the Day of the Dead celebration. All of it is spectacular and beautiful, but there is no ramp up. There's no sort of onboarding with this. You're just sort of propelled right into it, and then you spot a major bad guy, and then you create all kinds of chaos that you run from, and you've got a lot of carnage and a lot of, I guess, sort of guilt to deal with. But the adventure continues, and it felt a little bit clunky, I have to tell you. At the beginning of the game, I was like, oh my God, we're just bouncing back and forth, and we're not really sort of understanding all of the reasons why we're doing this. The mechanics were there, the gameplay was there, it was beautiful, all of that stuff. Those check marks were checked off, or those check boxes were checked off. But once I found the hidden city in this, and there's always a hidden city in these elaborate sort of globe-trotting adventures like this, particularly with Lara Croft or Nathan Drake, but you find the hidden city, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And what Eidos Montreal has done in this game is crafted a bunch of hub worlds where you encounter a lot of NPCs, and of course you'll go off on side quests and fetch missions, and lots of people to talk to, lots of detail to kind of get lost in. And that's when the game really opened up for me. That was when I was like, oh my God, look at the totality of this world that has been crafted for us. It's way bigger than Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think the original Tomb Raider was kind of close to an Arkham Asylum kind of vibe. It was a small, contained, sort of straightforward adventure where we see this person that's freaked out of her mind survive a lot of carnage, and it was really well crafted for that. It was really gory and brutal, but it was a nice sort of perfect launching point. Rise, I think there was a lot of expectation. I thought Rise wasn't as good as the original Tomb Raider, and mostly because it devolved into a lot of gunfight, a lot of combat. And I think Shadow is a better balance of everything. You get a lot of tombs, and you get to explore a lot. And if anything, there's a little bit more emphasis on that, and that's the extraordinary work that's a part of this game. The level design and the world building is outstanding. Swimming plays a major role in this, and you're constantly, trying to maintain your air. You find these little air pockets that you can go up, and you are gasping. When I reviewed Spider-Man last week, was it last week? Yeah, last week, I said that I felt guilty playing it because I'm just sort of chilling on my couch and I'm pulling off all of these cool moves, and I just felt lazy. I didn't feel lazy playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I felt completely, my hands were sweaty. I was totally freaked out. I thought I was going to die every 2 seconds when I'm either jumping and shooting out the grappling hook to kind of clamber up some wall that's falling apart on me, or I'm swimming into a tunnel that's getting narrower and narrower, and there's these dead skeleton hands trying to grab you, and you're like just searching for air. I was like, come on, don't die. I loved all of that. I think with these types of games, my predilection or my taste sort of, and I found this with the Uncharted games too, I kind of veer more into the exploration, into the puzzle solving, and there's so much of that in this game that it feels like a great bounty. Not only do you have the story tombs, but you have all of these challenge tombs. The challenge tombs unlock all kinds of extra abilities that Lara gets, so suddenly she'll be able to swim a little faster or breathe a little bit longer underwater. She'll have this extra sort of sensory perception by taking some plants and being able to, see where the goodies are, but also where the bad guys are. The one thing that I would say about the storytelling in this game too, and Blake actually brought this up, is that she's an archaeologist, but she's just bashing through walls and just finding all kinds of stuff, and she leaves a lot of devastation in her wake, both from a philosophical level, but also from an actual physical level within the game. And I think that weighs upon her, and certainly she has this really great relationship with her compatriot Jonah, who is one of the only characters to have been able to survive alive with Lara Croft as we've gone through this trilogy, and he kind of is like a moral center, like the angel conscience that's sort of questioning some of the choices that Lara makes as she's in this mad pursuit to claim these relics that have powers that are devastating. And there are some incredible cataclysmic sequences in this game that, again, don't allow you to feel lazy at all, you know? And I was definitely having a little bit of a problem sort of following all the way that the narrative was going and what all these different objects were. I wasn't really spending any time in the menus, but Eidos Montreal put a lot of effort and a lot of craft in the side lore, in all of the relics and all this stuff. And so when you play this game, if you're going to get this thing to add to your collection, I would say definitely take a moment to use that pause button, to look at each one of the artifacts and to read the books and the journals and things like that you're picking up, because it really embellishes. The game has a massive scale. It feels way bigger. One of my problems with Rise of the Tomb Raider is that it felt like it was kind of circuitous. You would get into an area and it would kind of loop back onto itself, and it felt a little like you were inside of a theme park. The scale of the carnage and the stuff that you did in Rise of the Tomb Raider was massive, but it felt like the world was kind of just sort of folding in on itself everywhere. This one doesn't. This one feels like it stretches on for miles. There are massive jungle sequences. All of the tombs kind of make sense, and they're also not too difficult. You don't sort of sit there freaking out over trying to find what lever to pull or what light to shine wherever. But they make sense, and they also make sense how you escape these tombs, which is really phenomenal. And I just feel like the scale is fantastic in terms of size, but sometimes the confrontations don't make a lot of sense. Like, you'll fight some bad guys and you're trying to be stealthy. That one of the new mechanics here is being stealthy, so you can put mud on your face and hide in the bushes and pop out and stab somebody without anybody hearing. Very cool. I like that a lot. You can also climb up on trees and kind of Arkham Asylum, shoot somebody and pull them up and string them up that way. You kill a lot of people. It's also an M-rated experience. But you'll get through some of this stuff, and usually it will end up in one or two firefights along the way, and you think, okay, phew, I survived that. But then, literally 15 feet later, a bunch of people will not have heard all of the carnage that just occurred. And that just felt a little bit weird. It felt like you could feel the game design, sort of the modules just sort of placed in, and I feel like that could have been finessed a little bit more. Not to say that any of those experiences were not thrilling. It was great to be stealthy. It was great to be climbing. It was great to get into the firefight stuff, which I think was really embellished and perfected in Rise of the Tomb Raider. It feels good to shoot the shotguns and the machine guns. And the bow and arrow's exceptional all the way through this thing. There's lots of augmentations. There's lots of different ways that you can craft your costumes. And I got to the end and I beat the big boss, and I feel like it is absolutely not the end, and there's a lot more to do. And I didn't do every side quest, and I don't want to leave this world. And that's the cool thing, is like, this is the new Game Plus gets unlocked, and you can keep all of the stuff that you've got and start over again. It's a massive, gorgeous, super thrilling, super fun game. It's not perfect. It doesn't have like the, I think the standouts in terms of single-player action-adventure games this year are God of War and Spider-Man. It doesn't have that level of polish, but I think it's definitely better than Rise of the Tomb Raider, and maybe not as shocking and original as the original Tomb Raider was from 2013, but it's way more beautiful. I played it on the Xbox One X, and it looked incredible. The HDR lighting and all of the underwater effects especially just knocked me out. Gorgeous game. And I got to tell you, I got a little emotional as well, because there's some really nice tie-ups with Lara Croft's parents, and there's some flashback pieces. I'm not going to reveal too much, but all of that stuff was really nice. And I know that this is not the end for Tomb Raider or for Lara Croft. Square Enix has got a lot of value in this property. The character is incredible. I think that there's now a ton of new material for future sequels for the movie version that they're putting together. I would assume that more are coming. But I think this is another one of those experiences that really just sort of underlines what a fantastic character Lara Croft is. And I can't wait to see what happens now, because presumably They will reboot again, and who knows who handles that, but it will be on the next generation machines, and all of the learnings that we have from, games like God of War or Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, all of the stuff that we're picking up right now will be employed with whatever new tech is out there. Anyway, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a terrific experience. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. And right now, we are going to move on to a buried treasure. One of the coolest experiments that came out for the original Xbox was a game called Full Spectrum Warrior, which was developed in partnership between Pandemic and I think the military in some fashion. It was meant to be a very realistic simulation for how soldiers would go into combat. And it was all about suppressive fire and basically covering your squad and being safe and not getting into firefights willy-nilly. There was no run and gun type stuff. So it was almost like an RTS in a way, where you were controlling squads and telling them what position to go to, and trying to keep everybody alive and not letting any of your squad members die or leaving them behind, of course. And you had to deal with these terrorists and take them out as efficiently as you could. The graphics were pretty amazing in its day. Of course, it's going to look dated now, and just the maturity of the design was something that was quite fresh and quite cool. It's on Steam, but this is also an Xbox original that's available to play on the Xbox One through backwards compatibility, which is kind of cool. I don't know if we'd ever need a new version of this game, but I think for you gaming historians out there, and for those of you like me that love Pandemic, and now that they're gone, it's cool to go back and reflect on the great work that is in Full Spectrum Warrior, and that is why it's a buried treasure. What did we just run? What was the I was looking on my computer. Oh, Full Spectrum Warrior. Holy crap. You guys remember that game? Very, very cool. All right, you guys. Last week, or was it last week or the week before? It was the week before. It was not too long ago. There's been a lot going on, as you all know. Blake and I went to New York City for a very cool event. One of the biggest sports games ever made. It was just released this week, and we went to the launch party for NBA 2K19. Take a look. One of the biggest games of the year deserves a party, and that's where we're at. Ben Bishop is the senior producer of NBA 2K. We're up to 19 already. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. It's been a long road, but it's super exciting to see, not just what we did this year, but the whole history of NBA 2K right behind us.
Okay, well, with 2K19, you guys obviously have a whole bunch of new things that you work on every year to kind of iterate and make your experience more fulfilling for everybody. What are you focusing on with this year's model?
I think the big thing is the evolution of the neighborhood. It's all in a much more centralized space. You don't have to run down the street and around the corner to get to the basketball courts. Now it's all there in one central location. And if you need to go to Foot Locker and get some shoes, or if you want to jump in and play a park game, it's all right there in front of you. So it really creates a much more interactive experience where it feels like there's activity happening all the time. It's not just people playing on the courts or nothing. Right. Now I think you're going to see a lot more of just activity and excitement and people doing things. You'll see some stuff on there like dodgeball, and there's just so much more, I think, to keep people involved and immersed in just that whole neighborhood, not just the courts.
Was that some of the feedback that you got from last year? Because I loved it last year, but it did feel like, where do I go?
Yes.
What? It's so big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So this year it really feels like it's a much more sensible space.
Yeah.
You can really kind of just look around and see everything in front of you. It really feels like more of an old town square type of a feel, with the courts in the middle of everything. For the people who just want to play a certain way, we really tried to give them those tools.
We're here at Mike Wang's basement, game cave right here.
My basement.
Is this what it is?
Yeah. It's my man cave.
This is your man cave right here. You got all your TV set up. You got Kevin Garnett right behind you there.
We hang out sometimes.
You do? That's amazing. What's unique about the game this year? What have you done with this title that you've never done before with NBA?
One thing that's new this year that I've been telling people about is this system called Takeover.
Yep.
And what I love about it is that anybody in the league can take the game over in their own way. And so for us, we wanted to portray that through the game. So now if you're a glass cleaner, say, or a rim protector, you can get hot, but you get hot in your own way, by getting boards or by getting stops on the defensive end. So for us, it's a way just to showcase the different talent that's in the NBA and different styles of play, and it brings a lot more of a competitive balance to this year's title.
What do you think gameplay-wise people are going to walk away from 2K19 really impressed by?
I think it's going to go back to defense. Everyone I talk to out there just loves the feel of the game. And a lot of them are talking about just the feel of how if I'm doing good things on offense, I'm rewarded. If I'm doing good things on defense, I'm also rewarded. So they're loving the cat and mouse there. And what I love to see is I love to see out there that people are getting blown out, like badly. And you can tell it's not because something's by chance. It's not because one guy has a better team than another guy, because the guy in the sticks is way better than the other guy. And so for me, I love that. And it's going to be really good for us, really good for 2K League, and for all the competitive modes.
I noticed with the right thumbstick, the defense was absolutely incredible. It's like you guys have figured out how to read my mind and put it in the right thumb and know where the player's hand is going to be. Like, that's not easy. And I've been right along with you playing this game every year, but how do you kind of tackle challenges like that?
I know for us, we just always imagine, what do you want to do on the court? And what makes sense to a user. So we try to keep our controls consistent. And so for us, right stick stealing was something we had a couple of years ago. A lot of people wanted it back, and so why did we take it out in the first place? It made sense. And we just flick the stick left or right, you'll steal with that hand. If you hold it, you'll kind of reach out in that direction. So it just made sense. So for us, a lot of the time, it's just like, what are the things that the player wants to do to mimic what he wants to do in real life, and what's the most sensible way to do that? And so for us, putting right stick defense back in that way made sense.
Now, you've worked with Spike Lee, and you worked with, I think, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, yeah.
Who are you working with for the story part of the game this year?
I would say this year we have the biggest cast of characters and probably the most high-profile characters. We did have Michael B. Jordan, like you mentioned. But I think altogether as a whole, the cast is huge and exciting. Michael Rappaport, Anthony Mackie is a big part of the story. So it really just raises up the overall quality of the narrative that's going on around you. And I think getting to see that is just a whole nother step towards immersing you in, this is my story, this is me making my way to the NBA. I think if you like that Spike experience, it definitely feels like more of a full narrative versus, say, last year it was just little pieces of things. This year it's much more connected, and it's really like a good introduction into your NBA beginnings, and I think people will really enjoy it.
We talked to Karl Anthony Towns about being in the game and doing mocap and stuff. You work with him. Are we working with other pros and other athletes that you're very excited about for this one?
Yeah, Giannis, who is on our cover, he did some work. You'll see him in my career. Anthony Davis is another one. Ben Simmons did some work with Shaq and Kareem, which was really cool because we've done a lot of current player stuff, but they get to come at it from the perspective of more like mentors, since they're older retired guys. But that dichotomy of Shaq versus Kareem was really fun because Shaq comes at it as more of like a have fun, get the message across, but have fun with it, whereas Kareem was much more of the wise old sage. So they both make appearances, and that's a lot of fun. And you still get to interact with some of the current players too.
Do you hear from? I know you hear from players about their ratings and stuff, but do you hear from them about specifics of the game that they want to see improve? Like good defenders, they don't ever get the spotlight. But do you hear from good defenders saying, "Come on, man, I can make those stops"?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the guys who come in, they're all huge 2K fans. And it's funny, a lot of these guys who come in, we had Ben Simmons in the other week. These guys have all kind of grown up on 2K. Nice. So they know the game inside and out. And so they're always telling us what they want to see different, what they want to see changed. And we love it because what better advice to get than from a pro?
Is it pulling teeth ever to get some of these players to be involved, or does everybody line up and go, I want to be in, I want to be there, I want to be there?
No, I think it's not. I think they're excited about it because most of these guys, especially now that the age that some of these younger players are, they grew up playing this game their whole life. So, NBA 2K came out almost 20 years ago. Some of these guys weren't even born yet. So they've been playing the game since they were, 3, 4, 5 years old or whatever. So, I think there's a quote on the wall over there from Jason Tatum talking about how it was a dream come true to actually see himself in virtual form, because that's something he had been looking forward to, since he was a little kid. So when we asked them to work with us, they're excited. They're a big part of helping us launch this each year. And you'll see some of them will be playing it on Twitch and doing stuff like that and interacting with the fans online. So they help make it what it is too.
One thing that I recognize in the game is that every year it approaches that feeling like you're not playing a game, like you're watching the real humans interact, and you guys edge closer and closer to that every year. how do you frame for that? Do you write it up on the whiteboard and say we want to let people forget that they're even playing a video game and we're driving towards that?
It's really just a lot of hard work. I mean, our audio and presentation teams are, I think the best in the business, and they start out, they're already starting to prep for next year's game. And so they bring all that together, and every time you play, it feels a little bit different. Again, like hopefully more like a TV broadcast, which is never the same, as opposed to like one of these older video games here that after a while it starts to get repetitive.
You guys are always adding new animations and new abilities to the players. Next gen is imminent. We're going to hear something very soon. What do you guys do that shocks us with next gen? Like what do you guys? How does it get better than this?
I never really know, because for me it's we have a technical team that deals with the hardware and the upgrades and the power of the systems and what we can actually push through them. And for me, it just kind of happens because the art team, they push things, and we have a lot of technical artists who understand stuff that I'll never understand. And so for me, as a fan of the game and a fan of the sport, I get to see things as a user, and even though I develop games, I look at what our team is doing across the board in other areas, and I'm amazed too. So I love that we have just crazy intelligent people in our squad, and they're always pushing the envelope.
We're getting close to the tail end of these systems, and we're getting close to the idea of something being announced here. Have you guys got, renders or ideas, or can you scale up to something we've never seen before already?
We've got our eye on that for sure. I mean, it's always been a goal of ours as a studio to be right there whenever a new console launches. So, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about that a whole lot, but it's definitely something we've got our eye on. We'll be ready for it. And we're excited too, just to see what's coming next. What are we going to be able to do with better hardware and more processing power and everything else? And you're right, it's not that far away, but we'll be ready.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing ray tracing for Battlefield 5. Are we going to see the reflection of a basketball in LeBron's eyes as it's going by pretty soon?
It's very possible. You'll see. I mean, we're going to try to push it as far as we can. We always do, so don't be surprised.
I don't think I've ever seen a display like this for a sports game with as much kind of reverence as this one has, where you kind of represent all of the history right behind us. Why do you guys have the old games here? Is it the 20th anniversary, or did it feel right to honor the classic stuff?
Yeah, it's the 20th year, so starting with 2K and all the way up to 2K19, so it seemed like a good sort of moment for us to look back, and just for whatever reason, I think it's cool to see where it came from. Like, I was just looking at NBA 2K, the original, before everybody came in, and I didn't even remember what it was like, and I played a little bit, and it's just really crazy. I think hopefully it helps people appreciate a little bit more like where it's come. Like, you can even go look at, like, there's 2K6 and 2K9 over there versus 2K, and then all the way up to 2K18 and 2K19, and just the evolution is crazy, and I think it just hopefully helps people get that much more excited about what they're seeing now and where we've come. The cool thing is that this is also Visual Concepts' 30th anniversary this year. So there's a lot of guys who have been back, even before 2K started and working on non-sports titles from way back. And so, a lot of those guys are still, deep in the trenches. Like I think at a lot of places as you get older, you don't work so much on the games, but most of those guys are still back there in the office. They're with the whole team in the summer, helping get the game done. So they haven't stepped back and just, let the young guys take over. They're all part of it too. So it's just a really cool environment to be a part of, and it's just cool to see the passion that all these people have for games even after 20 years.
Had some great comments coming in as that segment just ran right there. It was an amazing time, by the way. 2K threw out a big party. I mean, this is part of the thing, right? Like, the Visual Concepts team, that's what they focus on. And they build a game that just sort of goes off on all of these crazy tangents, and it takes all of the lessons that they've learned. They never I've talked about how much I love the NBA 2K game, but they know how to celebrate it. And the party was packed, and the air conditioning was broken, but there were celebrities all over the place. We were all sweating. It was hot. The music was pumping. We left before they had Travis Knight, I think. Some big artist was playing that night, but we left before he got on because people just kept coming and coming. It just got so hot. But yeah, they had all of the, well, not all of the years, but they had tons of the previous years in the NBA 2K franchise on display everywhere. It was amazing. Blade Blur, they did have a Dreamcast set up, and you could go walk up and play it. It wasn't just for show. You could actually play all the games, and it was cool to see. There was a lot of model type people there. A lot of time being spent on Instagram. You saw all the cool backgrounds and stuff. Lots of people doing fish face. and taking the pictures like that. Lots of selfies happening. But it was cool to see some of these models walk up to the Dreamcast and they were playing the game, the old classic game. I played 2 full games of 2K19 when I was there and had a blast. It was awesome. I had a question there, and I think it was from, Thorazine666 says, the NBA basketball during the 80s and 90s was amazing. I still love the game, but miss the old days. And Chronicles of WAG asked, do you follow any specific NBA teams or just love the game as a whole? And Thorazine666 nailed it for me. The 80s and 90s is when I fell in love with the NBA. I fell in love with basketball when I was in grade 8, and I used to play it every single day in high school. I was on the Kids High team in grade 10. And I think I had a job after that. I was working. I worked in a running shoe store, and so I couldn't do the practices and do the games. But I loved playing the game. I played it for fun all the time, and I was pretty solid. I used to play down at Kitts Beach in Vancouver. But I fell in love with the NBA, and my team, which was probably the world's team, was the Chicago Bulls. To see Pippen and Jordan work together was just incredible. But I also loved Indiana, the Pacers with Reggie Miller just knocking down threes. I watched live the game where Reggie Miller took apart the New York Knicks, and Spike Lee was in the front court, and he was telling him to choke. And just watching that back and forth between the two was just insane. It was incredible. And every time I tune into an NBA game, I don't know all the players, but I see that the game, the pedigree, the talent that's on display is just marvelous. And I was actually at a Raptors game a few years ago and had an incredible time. I love the sport, I really do. And what I'm loving about what sports games are doing now is they're really letting us appreciate the humans and their drive and the families and all the back and side stories that go into the dedication, which is very much what broadcast coverage of league sports is all about. So I love all that. That was a ton of fun. Okay, we are going to jump on to Let's Play in Chat, and we've got a great game today, which is very different from NBA, very different from the action adventures that I've been playing. This is Valkyria Chronicles 4, and we are going to jump into a Sega classic franchise that is kind of surprising that it's out there. We're playing it on the PlayStation 4. It's also out on the Switch and the Xbox One and the PC. They brought it out everywhere. This is kind of like a cult hit experience. So let's jump in. I haven't tested this out yet. I haven't played it at all because you guys know what I've been playing. Let's jump in and see what this experience is like. Okay. Valkyria Chronicles 4. Boom. Make sure that the music is off. Off. Okay. Good. And we are jumping in right now. Let's do it. New game. We'll start with normal, and we'll see how this goes. Now, I played this on PlayStation 3. Matthew Winstone, who's right in the middle of the first Valkyria right now.
At last, we had something to believe in.
I haven't played the game in a long time, so let's see how it goes.
None of us yet knew. We couldn't foresee what this war would cost us. It was a battlefield, but it was where we grew up.
Hello, Blake.
Vic, I know nothing about Valkyria Chronicles.
Well, it's a story-driven sort of action strategy game. So you can take control of units and run around and sort of do a third-person type of experience. But you also have strategic things where you're controlling a bunch of different units, and there's like a layer of squad management that you have to do. Plus, there's this RPG sort of personality-driven story that's all a part of it.
We should skip the cutscenes because I can kill the music on them.
Okay.
We might get flagged.
I don't know if we can. Oh, we can. Okay, cool. I once had the Portland Trailblazers come to the restaurant that I was working at, and I served Clive Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon. No, he was on the Rockets, but Drexler was there. I served Clive
Basketball's
Drexler.
The one where you bounce the ball,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
It was rad. But those guys were all amazing. I loved the Detroit Bad Boys, too. They were great, too.
I have a question from Blade Blur.
Just say the word boss. I'm locked loaded. Okay, go for it.
I'm currently playing through Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Do you think that qualifies as a buried treasure? I think you did that as a buried treasure.
I've done it as a buried treasure, maybe on the show. It's an exceptional game, and it had no right to be so good. You know, it was. What's the name of the studio? They're the Quebec-based team. I forget the name of them.
A2M?
No. You guys will tell me in the chat.
I'm gonna Google that right now and figure it out.
Phenomenal team. They ended up doing a lot of Skylander stuff, and I think they're probably working on Call of Duty now. But they took the reins from Treyarch. I believe that was and the Web of Shadows team, which I forget.
Oh, Beanox.
Beanox, yeah. And who did Web of Shadows? It was.
It's up to me to get everyone out alive.
I forget the name of the. But anyways, they had no we had no expectation that it would be good, especially with all these different Spider-Man.
Shaba Games.
Shaba Games, yeah. And it turned out to be so phenomenal to bounce into the different costumes and the different abilities and the first-person modes and the great voice casting. Deadpool's in the game, so good. Played by Nolan North.
Oh yeah, I remember that Deadpool. Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we command, and then you end phase. So there's a little turn-based stuff, there's a little real-time stuff in here. My unit list is just Raz. Okay, so here we go.
It's a good idea when you're playing a story-heavy JRPG to sort of jump in the fourth game, right?
We're in the tutorial right now. Oh, right, for the first time. There's an expectation, I think, on Sega's part that people aren't up to speed with this, and so they're retraining a lot of people, especially. They put it out on the Switch. It's been, I think, primarily a PlayStation experience in the past. So it's on new machines.
It's on the Xbox as well.
Yeah, they have to train people how to play this thing.
Why would they call it 4 then? You think they would just have a reboot sort of title?
Yeah.
It's called Valkyria Chronicles.
I mean, there's a lot of... this is one of those cult sensations as well, right? There's a big group of people out there that remember this. So a big part of the joy of the game is this watercolor kind of aesthetic that it has, which we love. Okay, so now you can take control of your character. Oh, I have to invert. He's shooting at me. And you see this little. I have this little line at the bottom of the screen. Oh, I'll just go to target mode so I can shoot him. And I think it's just
Rat-a-tat.
Press the X button. So it's almost like this gorgeous comic book kind of vibe. Okay, so that's it. Now it's his turn. That was a bad move because I have no cover. I'm right on the middle of right in front of his machine gun right there. I'm not ducking behind anything, which is dumb.
Habster Boy wants to know if my last name is Stone, like that old video game.
Blake Stone?
Yeah. When did that game come out? I'm Googling it.
I'm not sure.
1993. Oh yeah, it was like a Wolfenstein sort of thing.
Oh yeah? Cool.
Yeah. I remember that game. Yeah, my family name is not Stone.
How do I go to invert? Is it this?
Maybe you can't invert, Vic.
No, there's got to be. Okay, crouch. Oh, I've used all my action points. Okay, so now I'm reloading. Now it's his turn.
Damn it, these assholes are in my way. I can't break through.
Damn it, these assholes. So it's a T-rated game, I think, but it's
assholes isn't
but
yeah.
and it's so cutesy, but they're not above going hard.
It's not for Ruby. Oh, you're
cool.
You got a text message there, Vic.
Okay, cool.
You didn't get it on your watch?
No. I probably did actually. Oh, I didn't get it. Okay.
I'm getting I got another robocall. Yay.
Okay.
Just hurry and take
I'm still getting the CRA robocalls.
Crazy.
About my taxes. It's like taxes was like 6 months ago, guys. Think of something new.
So the CP, I think, are the command points, and the AP are my action points. So I'm going to be, I think I'm a sniper now. Yep, looks like it. So we are going to go for it. So you just press the X button, you jump right down to the character, and same kind of thing. You find a spot.
The enemy's firing back.
I really wish I could invert. Okay.
You can't invert. Are you sure?
I don't know how right
Maybe
now.
you have to go back to the main menu to do it?
Okay. You think this will take him out? Okay, so boom.
There.
He's got a helmet on though.
No, took him out.
Okay.
It's pretty close range.
Too easy.
Okay. But I can't shoot anymore, but I can still run.
Oh, did we ever read out Jesus Corona's super chat? Sent us a super chat right at the beginning of the show. He says, "Hey Vic, love the show, especially the positive energy you project, talking about movies and games.
That's so awesome.
Keep up the good work.
That's
Just dropping
very
a
sweet.
little birthday karma tax."
That's
so
so
I guess
amazing.
It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jesus.
That's so nice. Thank you.
We should say he gave us 200 pesos.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, and it is.
It's a lot.
But it's not $200. It's,
Is that what the MX is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because at first I'm like, holy shit, he gave us $200, but it's not. I wouldn't expect someone to give us that much. So.
Okay, hold on. So I couldn't crouch, and now I'm out of the way of the shot. Okay, so here we go. So end phase. Now it's their turn.
So I remember this because we saw it at E3. It's tactical, and then you run around inside the. Yeah, so it's
selecting
kind of
a unit in command mode uses up 1 command point. Okay, CP reflects the number of times you can control a unit per player phase. When your CP reaches 0, the player phase ends and the enemy phase begins. Okay.
Question from Tyler Fisher.
Yes.
Vic, looking back now retroactively, how do you feel about your partnership with Insight Games Magazine, knowing they're well known as a trashy joke rag now?
Yeah, I mean, they were certainly going to a broader audience when they came out. I remember that magazine. I remember the head guy that we met. He was a nice guy, but it was really about, you know, sort of reaching into Hollywood as much as possible and living the big life, you know, and making as much money as possible, which there's no problem with that. But I don't know. I've been in business and been doing this for a long time, and I've seen that if your instincts are just about sort of cashing in, those things don't generally tend to last that long.
Yep.
You know, and
it's hard to get rich talking about video games, right?
People have done it, and people do it, but I don't know. I mean, there were some editorial decisions involved with the reason why that didn't connect. There were good people involved, and a lot of them have ended up my friends in other parts of the industry for sure. The thing about, you know, games media publishing back then, there were 25 magazines. That was part of my pitch for EP as a TV show. I'd say, look, have you guys seen how many video game magazines are on the racks? How about we have one TV show that takes us inside the world of video games? And the broadcasters would go, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you had to do stuff that was different back then to kind of stand out from the other 15 video game magazines that were out there. So some were trashy. Some were really silly, some were absolutely hilarious, and some were really professional and well written and beautiful, but nobody read them. You know, I'm talking about the Next Gen magazine. So it was a very competitive landscape, and that was all pre the web, and then the web came in and started clobbering a lot of these magazines, and a lot of these old print people ended up working for websites. And a lot of them, honestly, had a lot of disdain for the idea of television content. I remember that. There were some people that were just, turned their noses up to the idea of G4 succeeding. And I said to them, this is going to be a big problem for you guys if G4 doesn't succeed. If your idea is to stay with games coverage forever and be a journalist in this medium, if G4 doesn't succeed, your job is going to be in jeopardy, even if you have nothing to do with G4. And I was right.
Mm-hmm. Tyler Fisher has a follow-up question for that.
Yep.
Have you ever thought about having Andy McNamara, lead editor of Game Informer, on the show?
Absolutely.
Have we met him? I've met him, right?
Yeah, Andy Mack. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Game Informer was the first magazine to cover Electric Playground. They did a story on us in 1995 or 96. And they were always incredible to us. And I've known Andy and Reiner for more than 20 years. They're fantastic guys. We haven't done a lot of reaching out to get guests on because we've been so busy, but it's time to start doing that because I miss having the combos. And we've got a nice comment about doing the interview for NBA. I mean, I love that stuff, guys. You know, I love going out in the field and talking with. That's what my whole show with Escapist is going to be about: is visiting studios and talking with people. So I love it. I don't think it's getting done enough. And that's what I'm going to continue. So I may be stubborn, I may be stuck in my ways, but I love it because people are more interesting than the products that they make. And the products are constantly innovating and being exciting to talk about as well.
We just got a super chat from the VR Grid. Guess what he's asking us, Vic?
He wants to know if I played Firewall. You know what I'm doing tonight? Playing Firewall.
Guess what I asked Vic this morning?
Yeah.
I said, hey, are we going to, so the game we're playing, are we going to play Firewall?
I have to play it first because I thought about streaming it, but I want to play it first to know what I have to do in the game. Like if I have to stand, like we'd have to reconfigure the studio a little bit.
Oh, it's a VR game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we would do it, but
yeah, that's a lot of work, guys.
I'll be streaming it when I play it, and I'm checking it out today.
Yeah,
so,
to play a VR game here in this setup would be a pain in the
Anyways,
ass.
let's play this because people are wanting to see what this game is.
And
all
this doesn't come out yet for another couple weeks, right?
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Like
so
next week.
So my unit list, boom. Can I play him? Okay, I'm playing as Curtis. Here we go. Okay, I've got sandbags, provide cover. Okay, I can crouch behind the sandbag. Okay, let's take some cover. And, oh, I'm still not inverted. This drives me nuts.
Yeah, you're fine. You'll live.
Okay, crouch. Okay, now, let's, aiming at weak points, headshots. I've got a shotgun, I think, or some kind of like old school rifle here. Let's see what we got here. Tells you 2 shots to kill. Okay, come on. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's like an M1. Okay. Boom.
Going down.
Got him. All right.
Let's keep going.
So, are you gonna keep playing this on the PS4, or are you gonna try it on the Switch?
Sega sent me this, so I'll be playing it on the PS4. I didn't get a Switch code. It does seem like a great Switch experience.
Yeah. Visually, this looks like it would be good on the Switch.
Yeah, it sure would. Oh, I'm out in the middle. I think Scout is gonna die. Okay, so end with him. And now we jump into a different character. Let's say this guy. Let's go down here. Okay. So you only have a set number of command points, which means you probably can't, if you have a big squad, I don't think everybody gets a shot. I'm not sure on every turn. Okay, so let's go into, okay, and let's do it.
Going down.
Ooh, didn't do so well there.
Can you have aimed at his head more?
I could have, yeah. I'm still out.
I've never been good at turn-based games. Like they've never been my thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't like them, they don't like me.
You just gotta put the time in. That's the thing. Like once you start to learn the mechanics, you groove on it.
I mean, I liked XCOM. I liked.
Yeah, I mean, XCOM is like one of the granddaddies.
But the problem is, I never finished them, and I never really. I mean, I like them, but I never loved them. I never really get into them the way. They're just not my thing.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of patience, and you have to make the time for them. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Although I do like chess, and chess is a turn-based game.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So I guess that counts.
Okay.
Blade Blur has a question.
Okay.
Isn't everything a good Switch experience? Yes. Everything is a good Switch experience.
Yeah, especially now that they're going to be able to stream games to it.
And especially now that I can slip into NES controllers.
That's so crazy, right?
Yeah.
I think they're going to do huge numbers on the...
Yeah, I bet you that's going to be part of the Nintendo Switch Online service. Now that that's launching and people are going to be paying.
Yeah.
I hope Nintendo uses that money that they're going to be getting from that to build the technology in the back end to make more game streaming, so that I can stream like.
Oh yeah.
Because the Switch has limited hardware capabilities, right?
Yeah, but
this
that
is
won't
the
matter.
perfect. Yeah, that's the perfect solution for that, right? You could play, God of War on the Switch.
Well, that'll never happen.
Well,
that also will never
not
happen.
a Sony game, but I mean like a game of that
Actually,
quality.
there's a independent group out there trying to let you stream PC games to the Switch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but it's an app that's being made and potentially officially.
Nintendo would not like that though, probably. Right?
Yeah. It's going to get really messy and weird in the next 5 or 10 years. We're going to be playing games on devices like we've never considered before.
VR Grid says, I look forward to harassing you about Firewall next time. Been a fan for decades, Vic. I respect your opinion on media more than most.
Oh, thanks, man. That's so sweet. I will tweet out when I'm going to play. I've got to be a dad for a bit, pick up my kid, It's movie night on Fridays with us. But the plan is to play and stream some Firewall. I've been looking forward to it like crazy. Been looking forward to this too. Okay, so now I have a tank, and I have the ability to go and destroy other tanks. So let's go do it.
Moving out.
Blade Blur and Jordan Cunningham are both asking about the final. They just announced a bunch of Final Fantasy games are coming to the Switch.
Yes.
Blade Blur, any thoughts on Final Fantasy VIII not coming to the Switch? Because that's the one that isn't.
Right.
7 is, but not 8. And Jordan Cunningham is saying, can't wait to play X2 HD remastered, as well as 7, 9, and 12, and everything. But yeah, it's weird that 8 isn't coming to the Switch.
They will all come for sure, 100%. I think Oh, I just blew that. I just shot way off. That sucked. Yes, in my face. I think they're going for the greatest hits, you know, the ones that everybody kind of chats about the most, and 7's right up there. So I think that's what they're doing.
Abby Jamison has a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Nintendo giving an ever-growing collection of their classic games is a brilliant way to not take money away from indie developers. Smart move.
Right.
What do you? I don't understand. What?
I think she means that by putting the indie stuff sort of for free as part of the service, ish. Yeah, we'll see how much that becomes free or how much that changes. It's not a choice that people have to make to buy that, as opposed to testing out something new, like Owlboy or SteamWorld Dig or Celeste, or what was the other one that I loved?
You loved it. I don't know.
Come on, what was it? There's been so many games.
I know the one you mean.
You
get the little ruby things.
Jose and I have talked about it.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells, yeah. I mean, so many incredible...
You loved it so much you couldn't remember the name.
I've got so many games in my head right now. It's not fair. But I love Dead Cells. It's been an indie smash, the Switch. There's been so many great indie games on there. Did you guys play Owlboy? I think about that game all the time. What an amazing game that was. Okay. So that guy's done.
Tyler Fisher has a question regarding owls.
Okay.
Burning question for you both. If you had a choice, are you a night owl or a day walker? So he's asking if we're a night person or a morning person. I'm more of a morning person. I get up pretty early, so.
I kind of am both. I stay up too late and I get up too early. It's not healthy. But there's a lot to do in my world, and a lot of stuff excites me.
What's the glowy thing on the back of the tank?
That's what I should be shooting at. Thank you. Too late.
Supposed to hit the tank in the ass, right?
Yeah. This game looks fantastic.
People are saying it looks graphically looks very similar to the very first game, but that's not a problem.
Not a bad thing. No,
that's the cool thing about this kind of cel-shaded look,
exactly.
Is that it lasts forever.
You go for an aesthetic that doesn't date your product, and it also makes it run a little bit nicer, you know? Okay, so I guess you get little arrows on the characters that you can control. I have 3 command points left. Ooh, I should get the sniper out there, yes? I put the sniper way off in the background. Can I take control of her? Yes, I can. Okay, there we go. I like that effect. Okay.
Jordan Cunningham is asking about if we know when Bethesda is releasing Blades on that's their mobile game that they announced at E3. I don't think they've announced.
I think it'll come out when the new iPhones start shipping. I think it'll be available.
So this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
We played it at E3. It's pretty good.
Yep.
They had it running off of, this year's iPhone or last year's iPhones, right?
Yep. So, anybody pick up the new iPhone?
Well, it's not out yet.
Well, you could pre-order it last night. I hesitated. I thought about it, and I said, "That's a lot of damn dough. That's a crazy amount of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's what is it? $1,000 for the?
Nope.
It's like 1,100.
No, the 64 gig XS Max starts in Canada at $1,500.
So that's more than my rent and all my bills for a month. Yeah. That's a month of my life.
And the S, so I think that starts at like $1,200 or something like that. But I'm more interested, I think, in the R. I think the R sounds like a much better deal, because maxed out on the R, you're paying $1,200, so $500 less than $300 less than the base Max unit, And it has all the same technology in there.
How much is it with a contract?
Oh, it's going to be way cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving out.
Or if you are in the upgrade path or whatever.
The phone what I'm interested in doing is not dropping the phone that I have,
Yes.
so that I don't have to replace it.
Yeah, it does feel like this is definitely an iterative year, and they're just trying to push the technology. I haven't played with these phones yet, but it does feel like they're trying to push the technology that they announced last year and get it into more people's hands.
My phone is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I can order my Starbucks on it and check my email. That's all I need.
Well, and apparently OS 12 is going to make every phone run faster.
Good.
Which is great.
That's good.
Okay.
We didn't. Adrian Leon's asking about Civilization 6 coming to the Switch. We didn't talk about it today because we ran a story on it because they announced it early because the Direct was delayed. So they announced it a few weeks ago and we did a story on it and we talked about it then. But what do you feel about Civ 6 coming
Excellent
to the Switch?
fit. Another one of these types of games where it's turn-based. I'm playing Into the Breach right now. Again, fantastic. I can't wait till there's an Advance Wars. And the Fire Emblem that's been announced. The Switch is great for turn-based games. Like, look at the Mario plus Rabbids game. It was awesome. This is not going to work. Okay, let's...
No, why can't you throw a grenade at it?
I can, but it doesn't feel like...
I bet you it would.
That's as far as I can hurl it.
No, you were closer before, weren't you?
I don't know. Can I still run? I guess I can. Okay. Okay. I probably shouldn't get that close. Okay. Now, here we go.
Just throw a grenade up his ass.
There we go.
Blow him up.
Oh, there we go.
It's going to bounce, though, if you throw it.
Oh, what is this? I have some other... What's a ragnade?
A grenade made out of regs.
Let's do that. Okay.
Do it.
Enjoy that.
I hope it doesn't bounce, though, Vic. Does it bounce?
There.
No. Let's see.
We're fine.
Yeah.
How much did you weaken it, though?
Not my... Oh, that's my own tank. I'm dumb. I'm so dumb.
Oh, people in the chat are pointing it out. That's your own tank.
No.
Off to a good start.
Yeah. Okay, let's see where we are right now. Oh, that's it. Ending my phase, and I'm right beside his treads, so I should be losing some characters here.
Vic, that's your own tank.
Well, I got my own tank pretty good.
Good job.
We can keep going.
Okay, my tank is getting hammered.
The Last Disciple says, I'm with you, Blake. I've never really been into turn-based games either. For instance, if I wanted to play strategy games, it would be real-time like Command & Conquer.
Yeah, they're definitely an acquired taste, and they all take time. But I find when I play them, I feel you carry that game with you. You know, when you stop playing, you're still thinking about it. And I don't know, you play a game like Civ, and you start to beat the AI or figure stuff out, and it just makes you feel smart. It makes you feel like I'm getting this. You know. Okay, so I went around the tank, blew it up, and I beat this tutorial level.
Good job.
Yay me! Woohoo!
Anyone else want to try?
Someone asked if this is a remake. No, this is a brand new game, right?
It looks like a remake.
But it is a completely new game.
Yeah,
right?
it's carrying on some of the story stuff, but I believe it's brand new characters, a different sort of viewpoint on the war that's happening. I forget the different factions.
It's sort of
It's
World
like-
War II.
Yeah, it's like
right?
an alternate reality World War II type thing, fused with some fantasy and kind of a JRPG kind of aesthetic. Look at that guy's hair. I wish I had hair like that. That's awesome hair.
I wish I was a 3D character model inside of a video game so that I could have better hair.
It's like playing Spider-Man, but as the cartoon costume. It's incredible. Or the comic book panel costume. I love that. It's so good.
But what matters is that their hearts. All right, I get it. Power of the heart, blah, blah, blah.
Power of my heart, blah, blah, blah.
Look, just go turn in your report already, will ya? Can't go get sloshed if we're stuck here on stage.
This is great.
Good point. I'll head to the command center.
Was it this one we played at E3, or was it the remake, the remastered of the first one?
It was this one.
There was a remastered of the first one that came out a few months ago, right?
But it was this one that we were playing.
Okay.
It was 4.
Okay.
And they did release the remaster. I think, was it just PC or was it on PS4?
Did they release it on the Switch as well?
I can't remember.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay.
Valkyria.
I don't think they released it on the Switch. Although it is getting harder and harder to keep track of everything that's coming out on the Switch. I think 17 new games were released on the Switch this week. It's insane.
The remastered is coming to the Switch in like a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
October 16th it comes out. So if you're a Switch owner, you can play this and then the original.
No. But let's go to the menu. Oh, here we go. Let's change my...
Oh, I had a question that I wanted to ask you, Vic.
Invert. Here we go. Bam. Yeah?
Are you... Because they showed off Metroid Prime 4 at E3 2017.
Yes.
And we still haven't seen anything about that game through all these Nintendo Directs.
Yes.
It was conspicuously absent from E3 this year.
Yes.
Were you disappointed that we haven't even heard anything about that yet?
No, because they're going to devote a whole Nintendo Direct to Metroid. Right now, what they want to sell is Smash Brothers and Pokemon. And
I bet you we're going to see Metroid like early next year.
Yeah.
After the dust is settled on Pokemon and Smash.
Yep.
Then we're going to start seeing Metroid.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would have been nice if they just gave us a verbal update about it or something. I don't know.
They like to get right to it in a way, you know? Like, I think it's going to be like, here it is, and now you can play it kind of thing. And we'll be playing it for sure at E3 2019.
And by the way, also coming in 2019, and so the title.
Right.
And we'll be sharing more about that next year.
You know what? There is an October Nintendo Direct, and there is a November Nintendo Direct. This is the ramp up to selling the Switch like crazy over the holiday season, and probably the 3DS as well. And so this is.
But that's why you just remind people that Metroid Prime 4 is coming, because that excites people.
It's probably the next one.
Okay.
Could be the next one.
Okay.
You know, just before the Christmas, just before
be
Black Friday.
One.
You know, all of this stuff is mapped out by very smart marketing people.
That makes
months
sense,
and months and months and months.
Are they smart though? These are the people who sold the Wii U. They did a very poor job marketing that console.
You know, I think what we say with Nintendo is that they're not afraid to risk in the face of what marketers may advise them against.
Okay.
Which makes them an interesting, compelling company and always worth keeping an eye on, because they don't always make the most financially sensible choice.
Right.
But always from a heart and artistic choice.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But more often than not,
up what you're throwing down.
they succeed with their crazy dreams.
3 months have passed since we
Tyler Fisher says he wants Nintendo to acquire Rare. Well, Microsoft already owns Rare, right?
Yeah, but they're. I get that. They're kind of squandering what they have with their rareness. Although I have not gone back to Sea of Thieves, and I really want to.
Well,
I really want to.
I don't think has anyone gone back to that game.
People play it, man.
It's a game. It's not for somebody who reviews games for a living to play. It's for
I know.
Pick it and it's your game.
There's lots of colleagues that I have that are in journalism or they're in PR or whatever that play that thing religiously. They go back to it all the time. Just like there's now lots of people going back to No Man's Sky.
What we should just wait for is for Disney to buy Microsoft and Nintendo. That way Nintendo and Rare will be under the same roof.
Oh my God, that actually could happen.
Question from Abby Jamison.
Yeah.
What Nintendo franchises do you want to see come to the Switch that haven't been announced yet? She wants F-Zero and Pilot Wings. Pilot Wings is a no-brainer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You mentioned Pikmin earlier today.
Pikmin 3 on the Switch. Or a new Pikmin would be great.
Star Fox would be
A real Star Fox. I've heard that the Starlink game is a great Star Fox.
But you didn't like it.
Substitute.
You played it.
I was unimpressed by the demo, but I didn't really get to play around with all of the systems and all the mechanics. I did find that the ships were big on the controller. Like they were, like it was big. It was not just like a little.
Yeah, it felt very like you're playing a game with this thing in your hand. Like,
but I'm a toy guy. I don't know if you know that about me. So I'm excited to get the kit and check out some of this stuff.
This map is geographically inaccurate.
Yeah, well, they're giving you the background. So it's the Federation against the East European Initiative or something like that.
So who's the bad guys?
That's it. It's very gray.
Okay. So the map is different. I guess that's because it's an alternate.
Actually,
why is Edinburgh way the hell down there?
It's like you're fighting the Nazis with the East European.
But the Nazis weren't East European.
I know.
They were Central Europe.
It's like. And so you are on the rebel force. That almost looks like my signature.
It's crazy. Now everyone's gonna forge your signature, Vic. Don't say that. Oh, Wave Race, Matthew Winstone. Yeah,
Wave Race would be amazing.
Every Nintendo franchise should be on the Switch because every Nintendo game that has been released up to this point in history, you should be able to play on a modern system. So when the Switch launched, every single Nintendo game from every single other Nintendo platform should have been playable on the Switch.
That would be amazing.
And with the PS4, every single Sony game and every Xbox, same thing. Every game ever made ever should be not just the classic stuff. Every game in the history of the world should be backwards compatible on a modern system.
On the new systems.
There should be no game. There should be no game that you can look at that's ever been made that you can't play on a modern system.
Out of your physical library.
No, out of everything.
But
I mean to buy or purchase it new.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no, like I've said before, there's almost no movie that's ever been made that you can't play on a modern device.
Stuff gets lost every time
there's a couple of movies that have been lost to history.
Yeah.
But with games, it's like almost every game. That
you gotta wipe the slate clean every.
If you look at the number of games you can play on all the currently available consoles, that's probably like 5% of the games that have been made in the history of the industry. That means 95% you just can't play.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's my rant for today.
Yeah, it's a good rant.
Question from Clayton Blair.
Yep. Is Blake okay?
Did you ever review the movie Faster with Dwayne Johnson? What was that movie? Which one was that?
Faster.
Is that his other movie?
No, I never did. I never did.
Which one was it?
I don't even remember. You gotta fill us in on that.
2010. Oh, I remember this. We went to the junket. Yeah, he goes to jail and then he gets out. Yeah, because his brother was killed. Yeah, like they framed him for his brother's murder or something. I remember this movie.
Didn't see
I
that
saw it
much.
at the theater, but I don't remember it very much.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
And I remember the trailer had that song that was also in the trailer for Batman Arkham City.
Right.
That's a weird fact I have in my brain for some reason. Yeah. But in answer to your question, no. Yeah, we have more questions. Tyler Fisher, speaking of alternate history, go watch Violet Evergarden.
Okay.
It's an amazing animation and story.
Okay. So a big part of this game are all the cutscenes that I am just skipping to sort of fill in the details of the story, but also to give you.
We can't kill the music in the cutscenes, so.
But also give you background on the characters and who they are. So it's got a little Fire Emblem-esque kind of. Quality in terms of like these are the people in your outfit and you go to battle with them and you start to care for them, and of course many of them will encounter some jeopardy, so you start to feel like you don't want to lose them, which is great. It adds another layer of drama to the game experience.
Matthew Winstone has a question that I'm almost certain we can't answer.
Okay.
Since this game's story runs parallel to the first game,
yes,
which I vaguely remember hearing about now.
Yeah.
Does it use your save file from Valkyria 1 at all?
I don't know.
Well, they just re-released the first one as a remastered game. That would make sense, right?
I don't think you can run PlayStation 3 code on PS4, so I don't think the saves sort of transfer over.
Yeah. But with the remastered, at least they should, right?
I guess, but it's coming out after this, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it out already?
I think remastered is out now already on the PS4, and it's not out yet on the Switch.
Okay.
Let me.
I am not sure. That's a good question.
But yeah, you think they would at least give you like a bonus skins or something. Like when I booted up Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I got a whole bunch of bonus stuff because I had save files from the previous games.
Me too. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed does that too.
That was cool, like little loyalty options, right?
Yeah, they should do that, at least something like that with this.
And if we can access every game ever made, that would be some.
You should be able to access
some pretty good charting if they could do that. Okay, so Curtis is a scout, Goodwin's a scout, so you get all the breakdowns, and you also get their levels. So each character is leveling up as well. This is one of my stars, so we'll put Raz, who's a shock trooper. We'll put him near the tank, and I think we need a. I think we'll put Scott Adlis up near the tank. I need my sniper. Where's my sniper? There we go. Kai. We'll put her in the back. And Let's put Jester here and
Something out there.
Curtis right there. Let's go for it.
Tyler
Boom.
Fisher is saying, who remembers the Super FX games on the SNES?
Now,
Super
capture that
Nintendo.
cannon.
I do.
Yeah,
Stunt effects.
Star Fox was the only one I remembered, but
Yep.
I'm Googling it right now. Dirt Racer also used it. And Doom on the Super Nintendo.
On the Wii, they had that Excite Truck game. That was a pretty fun damn game. That could be a pretty cool Switch upgrade.
Blade Blur is saying Pokemon Go on the Switch. Well, that's almost exactly what Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is.
Yeah.
Because we played it. When you catch Pokemon, it is exactly like catching Pokemon in Pokemon Go on the phone.
Yep.
It's exactly. I don't want to. I don't know for sure, but does it run on the same engine?
No.
Man.
No, I don't think so.
It felt like it did. It felt very similar.
I just think it was a lesson learned from the game. Okay, how come I can't choose this?
Anyway, if you
and some of the characters and some of the things take more than one command point. Okay, so there we go.
Oh, Abby Jamison is saying bring back Star Tropics. Yeah, that game's amazing. I had never heard of that game, and then I played it on the Classic.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this? This is great. Great music and visuals. Yoshi's Island 2 on the Super Nintendo was a Super FX game. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they should make like a new Star Trek. They should make a new Earthbound game too. They should just do everything. Nintendo
Earthbound.
should do...
There's a game that definitely needs to be on the Switch. So,
I'm shocked that it isn't. Because it was on the Wii U, right?
So, can I get into the menu again? Because it looks like my invert did not take, which sucks. For some reason. Okay.
Where's our backup, damn it?
Clay Fighters.
No Clay Fighters.
Wasn't that game really bad?
Yeah, it was not good. I guess I should just use my grenade. Why not?
Do it.
I've only got one. What's a rag? Oh, this is my health, I guess. Ragnade.
Tyler Fisher's asking, is Assassin's Creed 3 a remaster or classic edition? It's a remastered version of it. Ubisoft just announced that if you get the season pass for Odyssey, I think it is, yeah, you get like a new version of Assassin's Creed in it, and they said it's remastered, so it'll look slightly better.
Which is pretty cool. Okay, so my Lancer is also resistance. Okay.
Even though that game was kind of a disappointment. That was kind of the start of the downward trend.
Here we go.
For Assassin's Creed, I think.
System options. Battle options. I inverted this already. Oh, I didn't press confirm. Okay. Targeting. Boom. Save. Yes. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's get this tank out there. This is a little finicky, trying to put the cursor on the tank.
Oh yeah, can't you zoom in at all to... they're all on top of each other, right?
Oh, here we go. Can I get behind this thing? Let's see.
Shoot now, you Vic.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to shoot its glowy thing in the back, though. Come on. Can I go this way?
Can you go around the fountain?
Not really. Oh, I'm doing it. Yes!
See,
Sight lines.
This is the thing I don't like about turn-based. In real life, you would be dead if you got that close to another tank.
Well, I've got armor on.
Yeah, but you get that close to another tank.
Did you see Fury? They did all kinds of crazy things. That was a pretty cool movie, but pretty heavy. Okay, so let's look down. That's it. Oh.
What's your hit percentage? Is it like 99.9%?
Oh. I keep pressing the trigger button. Okay, here we go.
You sure you can't? You might, because you could have gotten a little further away and didn't.
No, it's as close as I could get. I used all my action points. Okay. Did pretty good. Okay, let's see let's see Raz. Okay, there we go. Okay, I see the menu pops up when I can take control. Okay, here we go.
Clayton Blair, was there ever a game that you had fun playing but gave a bad review rating?
Yeah, for sure. There's like those guilty pleasure type experiences, 100%.
Like what?
Oh man, Deadpool. That wasn't a great game, but I liked it.
But if you have fun playing, it did its job.
Yeah, but it was very repetitive, and there was geometry that was broken, and there were lots of things that you could say were wrong with the game, but I still had fun. And mostly it's because Nolan North's VO, his voiceover stuff was just awesome. That happens all the time, actually. There's games that are like, they get into under your skin and you just can't put them down, but you know they're not good for you.
Yeah, I guess I guess the first Destiny.
Right.
That's
got obsessed with it.
It was addictive because it was designed to be addictive.
Yeah.
It's manipulative. It's like a bad drug, but it's, I played it enough to realize that it wasn't good for me.
Yeah. That happens too. It's like you become obsessed, and then you get to a point where, okay, that's enough. I shall never play that game. I'm sure there's been, some other action-adventure titles. Nothing's popping into my head right now because I'm still, cleaning my palette from Tomb Raider and Spider-Man. But, yeah, there's definitely been games in my... I can't do anything from here. Okay.
Those pants look very
tight?
Unregulation for a military situation. I would not go into battle wearing pants that tight.
Could be tight armor. Okay, here we go. Come on, come on. Good thing I'm pretty bulletproof. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to use my grenade, and hopefully this wipes.
Your tank is right there, Vic.
It's okay.
At least this time you know it's your tank.
Yeah. Wow, this tank is tough, man.
Maybe there's some other way you're supposed to destroy it?
No, that's the way. Okay, now I think that's all my characters. What is this? No. Do I have any? Oh, I still have a command point there.
Jordan Cunningham question: Hey Vic, would you want a new Rush game to come? Maybe on the Switch or like San Francisco Rush type game?
That'd be great.
Is that the series? I guess yeah. Because was the series just called Rush? Or was it?
Yeah. I mean, you would distill it down to that for sure. That would be great. Or a cruising game, I think, would be kind of fun too, like a modernized version of that. I like everybody's idea of an F-Zero game. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's just because they weren't all San Francisco Rush.
Yeah. Yeah. And Wave Race, Nintendo should bring that back, or 1080 snowboarding, 100%. What classic Nintendo title? I think Earthbound is the big one. You know, where there's so much love for it that
they had that. That's gonna come because they had that on the Wii U as a virtual console thing.
Right. This guy's coming.
Is Spider-Man PS4 your favorite Spider-Man game? That's a question from Black Suited Spider-Man.
Yes, it is. Although there are so many good ones that it's hard not to think about how many other great ones there have been. But yeah, 100%. It's the definitive Spider-Man game.
My favorite Spider-Man game is Half-Life 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Or the Atari 2600 version of Spider-Man.
Was that like a bad game in its day?
Oh, it was terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Even at the time?
And the Superman game back then.
There was a Superman game back then?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that.
I was in that sweet spot. I was a kid as all that stuff was coming out. I'd be so excited. I'd pick up the box, and it just looked like the comic book, and then you'd spend $50 on those games back then. So I think they could have been $59.99 back then for the cartridges. You'd take them home, and it'd be just these blocks just moving across the... It really had to use your imagination. Iron Will! Okay, here we go.
Adrian Leon, what are your thoughts on the original Luigi's Mansion being released on the 3DS?
Oh, that's great.
We mentioned it in the rundown today.
Yeah, I have nostalgia. I remember being a little disappointed with the game because it wasn't as good as one of the Mario 3D experiences. And every time Nintendo sort of steps up to the bat, they're kind of pitted against themselves. That's what happens when you make, eternal and fantastic experiences.
Did you finally blow up the tank?
I blew up the damn tank.
Good job.
It is done.
Oh, there's a dude there.
I think I can run it over. Can I run him over? Let's see.
Only one way to find out.
I think I can.
I think he's dead.
Yep.
Oh no, he's
Okay. Oh, and I've used all my AP. Okay, so boom. But yeah, I'm psyched to play it again because it is so charming, and I'm sure there will be nice enhancements, and it's a good fit for the 3DS. And I love Dark Moon. I love what Next Level did with Dark Moon. That was such a great game. I would like to see some of the 2D Metroid games on the Switch. In fact, I'd like to see them all on the Nintendo Switch in a nice collection. Maybe
every game should be on the Switch.
Every game should be on the Switch.
Hang on, I'm just gonna check the some.
Okay. Frame rate's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Checking things.
Okay.
I'm gonna need to replace the battery on the other camera soon.
Okay.
How much longer are you gonna play for?
Let's get past this level here, and then we'll...
This should be good.
Okay. Alright, let's take this guy out. Right in the back of the noggin. Been run over by a tank, and now you're gonna get shot in the head.
Nice ragdoll.
It's an incredibly violent
Is he
game,
dead?
too, right? Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
What is with those pants that she's
They're
wearing?
just tight.
Why?
Comfort and flexibility. I don't know. Okay, so boom. I think it's an aesthetically pleasing design as opposed to one that's built for battle.
John Lopez, question: are you going to review Iron Fist Season 2?
Yes, I am. I haven't...
Don't do it, Vic.
No,
the first season was terrible.
I'm doing it. I got a text from one of my buddies saying, "Oh my God, this is so brutal." But I
brutal
still,
in a good way?
No, I want to see it. Not brutal in a good way.
I still haven't even watched Luke Cage Season 2.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. I watched the first episode, actually.
Yeah.
It was good, but I just haven't had the time.
No,
to
that
sit
was
down.
terrific. Yes, Curtis, you do it. You know, I took that thing down by like that much, like 3 ticks. Doot. Okay, go over here and duck. Duck. Thank you. Okay. Boom. So it is. There is a little bit of action, but you guys get what's happening here. Is this Curtis? He's done, right? I wish I could zoom in a bit. Okay, Curtis can't do anything, and Sniper is done. But I have my tank. Let's go for. Do I have my tank? I don't like the cursor navigation. It feels. I think this is the better way to get to your unit.
Okay,
moving that cursor around. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna get behind that tank, but I'll still shoot. Half done. Perfect. Okay. So they're taking it easy on you in the beginning. So unit list square. Let's go Raz. That's way easier to choose them that way. Okay. Competitive spirit, do it. Reckless charge. Can I get any of the other guys? Yes, I can. Oh, that's my guy.
Question:
We'll
would you
take
ever
20 shots over that guy? Get that guy.
Question from Matthew Winstone: would you
Okay.
ever expect some other kind of crossover title like Smash, but not as a fighting game, e.g., RTS title with Command and Conquer, StarCraft and AOE characters, a car racing game?
That's pretty interesting.
I guess Mario Kart kind of is already that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what Sega All-Stars Racing and Diddy Kong Racing kind of suggested is that you could do a multi-genre racing experience. That would be pretty rad for Nintendo to do something like that. But yeah, I think Smash opens up a whole bunch of different ways that you could explore these characters. And a real-time strategy type experience for League of Legends could be pretty cool. I think that would be very successful. Okay. Let's see if we shoot this thing from point blank. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, does it? Okay. and I'm just getting shot in the back. This guy, he could die. My scout.
What happens when your characters die?
I think you lose them. Who's that guy? Okay, Scott. Here we go, Scott. Out you go. What other multi-character genre? I feel like, I don't know, like a multi-sports thing could be really cool, you know? Like, they have tennis and they have all the Mario characters in there, but it'd be pretty rad to do a basketball game or, you know, like maybe it's basketball, football, sort of team-based, baseball, all in one thing, and it's all the Nintendo characters that you have, plus lots of guests. That could be really fun with lots of abilities and things. I would dig that. Or golf. Okay. But I guess they do the Mario golf game. Okay. I can't shoot anybody from here. I can't even see them. Okay, so screw that.
What's with the glowy lines up in the air? Is that just like showing you where the nearest enemies are?
Exactly. Okay, here we go. So the way that you could win this match is by taking over one of their bases or by killing everybody. So it's very turn-based strategy. Like.
You do have a medic though, Matthew Winston is saying.
Right. I don't know if I have that with me right now though. I think I didn't pull that out, that character out. Okay, so they're gonna take. Oh, Jester's done.
Guess it ain't my lucky day.
He said, "Guess it's not my lucky day."
How did he say that? He was dead.
Guess it's not my lucky day.
So you revived them, right?
No, except in very few exceptional cases, incapacitated means that the soldier is dead and will disappear. So it's very much like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, so they're
gone.
permanently dead.
Yep.
Okay.
When a unit reaches an ally in critical condition, the medic will evacuate them, and then they can come back. Avoid losing soldiers by rescuing units in critical condition.
I gotta swap the battery on the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna lose it just
Actually, you know what? I think that's probably a pretty good place to wrap it. That's pretty good because we're gonna our camera would go down anyway. So, but that's gonna do it for our day today. Thank you everybody for watching. That's a little taste of Valkyria Chronicles 4. I'm definitely playing a little bit more of this. You'll hear some thoughts about this game next week.
Goodbye,
We're going to be back with new EP lives and new rundowns and stuff next week, so please come back for that. We'll also have a classic episode going up this weekend, and so watch your social networks and stuff, and make sure that you hit subscribe and that little bell so you can sort of be notified by everything that's out there. Watch our old classic stuff if you haven't, and we will see you on Monday with brand new content. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and play forever.